The Mayo delusionists are willing to give any one of their own endless chances, ain't they? I have to deviate a little from this. I don't think half the country said that that's okay. I think steeple people and Mayo delusionists said those things are okay. And everyone else bought a bunch of lies because they didn't go read. They are really sitting here trying to tell you to just trust the process. Okay, so what if it's a criminal enterprise? Let's give them a chance. What's the worst that could happen? They destroy everything? I mean, isn't it worth it to let a bunch of rich Mayo Nepo babies have a crack at it and just do whatever they want with the lives of the working class? Isn't that an experiment you want to take part of as an American? Side note, I mean, I'm also a little disappointed in the folks that are like, what do you mean do something? You guys, what about the blue bacon? What about the military? They'll never let us stand up. More side eye, okay? A lot of people that are telling other folks that they need to just bend over and take it dry. It could be. I'm seeing it's mostly dudes that are pushing that narrative, and I'm wondering if it's because most women have dealt with some level of SA in our lives. So as soon as we see anyone, but especially men, talking about how we all just need to grin and bear it, just take it, just ride it out, just see if we can get through it, because they're going to do it to us anyway. You may as well try to enjoy it. You may as well just make peace with the fact that you're helpless with this. There's a lot of that. And for those of us who hear those words and it makes every hair on our body stand up, yeah, no. Okay, there's a lot of us that have zero interest in being essayed by the actual country. All right? So yeah, some of y'all can do that. I'm just going to lay here and take it. But should nothing else happen, darling, we would be the only one out of the 4 places that had issues that didn't stand up for ourselves. We would be the only ones. I'm going to leave that there. All right. Anyway, back to these people giving endless chances to their own criminals to see what else they can do and get away with because they deserve it. Let's just see how they do, you guys. Effective immediately. We're not getting the minerals we need for technology. Effective immediately. China cancels almost $700 billion worth of U.S. exports, especially agricultural products. Guess who that hits? The farmers, who are also being hit with labor shortages and realizing that if they get rid of all the cheap labor, that's not good for them. And they've been begging the incoming team, can you guys exclude us from this little mass deportation thing? So we can't afford American, literally, Google it. Okay. The farmers are like, we can't afford American work. And they're not even good workers. We don't want Americans in the fields. You hear that, Mayo delusionists? Your own producers don't want you as workers because you suck. All right. And I'm not saying that as a high and mighty. I don't want to be in the fields either. But the difference between you and me is I'm not saying let's send away the people that are willing to do the work that I don't want to do. For some reason, y'all want to do that. And none of us can understand why. We already talked about the steel workers who are getting layoffs instead of raises and more work. Every fucking union, because they're going after the unions, period. All the poor people living off of those benefits that they pretend only brown people and illegals are using, but it's really them. When all those programs are gone and they have to figure out what bootstrapping actually is, when you're not living in Alabama and collecting state aid that's sponsored in part by viewers like me over here in California who make the money so that you can sit on your ass. DEI didn't earn it, she says as she complains about the price of welfare cheese. Oop, and let's forget the smartest of the smart, okay? The steeple people who told their congregations to worship this guy, and now he won't answer their calls. And the pro-olive people who went hard against Ms. Madam because of a false narrative over what was going on over there. And so instead they decided to trust the guy who had a Muslim ban during his turn. He literally said, I don't want them here. And for some reason, they forgot that. And they were like, oh, yeah, he didn't like us then, but now we trust him to be the guy that's going to protect us over there against his best friend. And now that him and his best friend are like, yeah, we're going to flatten all of that. Sorry, not sorry. And they're like, we were lied to by the guy who openly said he doesn't like any of us and he was a loyalist to the other people. The guy who said he's a Z and he's friends with all the Z's lied to us. And yet, we still have Mad Hatters and fake treats and steeple people telling us we need to give them a chance. Let's see what they can do. Yeah, the country might fall apart, but isn't it worth it to know that it was rich white people who did it? Doesn't that make it okay? It could have been a colored woman with a loud laugh that helped the working class instead of allowing billionaires like Star Baby and Vivek call each other names and then talk about how they want to defund everything for efficiency so that they can efficiently take the funds and put it into their pockets. That's exactly what Jeebus wants. Now let's put that on some flags.